Welcome to the start of this week's reading vlog. I know you guys haven't seen one in a minute because I've just only been reading Rhythm of War, which I finished today. So there are lots of spoiler vlogs that I'll link up if you care about that. But I'm home for a few more days. This is my backyard here in Cleveland. I figure I never get to vlog outside, so I thought I'd do that here. And yeah, this vlog I'm going to be reading for sure ACOMAF because I really want to reread ACOMAF. I should read a bunch of other things that are on my TBRs. It's not in any TBR video, but I've been feeling it. It was $3. I bought it. I've read it twice already, and I want to reread it. And I have other books, so maybe I'll read some of those, but otherwise, you're mostly going to get like holiday decorations in this vlog. I'm going to be making cookies and decorating at my mom's, and when I get back to Boston, I will be decorating my apartment there. So hopefully you enjoy it. Otherwise, though, I just wanted to start it off in this backyard setting because it's beautiful. But if you didn't know, I love this book. If you wanted my spoiler-free thoughts, it was everything I wanted in a Stormlight Archive book. If you read Oathbringer and you were like, that was kind of long and boring and pacing was rough, I agree. My first read, it was rough. This one's so good. At least if you love Stormlight for the reasons I love Stormlight. So that's all I'll say here, but this is the start of the vlog and welcome to my backyard. Good morning. My hair decided to not be a mess, so I thought I'd vlog a little clip this morning. Hey, Mo. This is Motor. This is Delilah's brother. They were in the same litter together. So he's a grumpy old man while Delilah forgets that she's old. Delilah's my golden girl because they're both 16 going on 17 years old. But he loves to sit in laps while one reads, and my mom's not downstairs because that's his preferred lap. But I do in a pinch. So he wants me to go sit in my foof chair and read, but I wanted to do this clip real quick. So hopefully either before or after this, I'll have put in the clip of snow because there's so much snow outside, which is not uncommon in Cleveland. We're in the snow belt because we're in the east side of Ohio, so wind comes from Canada over the lake and plops snow in the yard. And luckily, I don't think anyone but my sibling really has to leave the house today, so we just get to enjoy it. That is my mom's cat. She likes to just yell. Her name's Iris, and she's a rescue for sure. Like, she gets really skittish, one of the more skittish cats we've ever owned. Anyways, what was I talking about? So lots has been happening on my very chill vacation. I have gotten to read some, but you've probably seen in clips us setting up the tree, which is right here next to me. So I'm not sure what order I've done anything in, but since being here, we have baked cookies, we have frosted said cookies, we have set up a tree. I went to watch some football outside with some friends on Sunday when it was in the mid-50s and not snowing, and in that you probably saw a little corgi puppy, and that is Pancake, and he is the puppy of the group, and he's great. I finally got to meet him. My friends got him a couple months ago, but I'm not in Cleveland all the time, so it was really great getting to socially distance, see them, watch the Browns win, see a puppy. All in all, really great. And yeah, then Mom and I decorated cookies all day yesterday, and today we're just gonna play board games and hang out. It's gonna be great. I have to do like one thing for class, but after that, I'm like a free woman. It's wonderful. And I have read more of Akamath, and I don't know if this needs me to explain it. I feel like Sarah J Maas books are what built BookTube, but it's the second fantasy romance book in her A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I call them fantasy romance because that's what they are. I mean, they get to be shelved in the young adult section, but they're just romance books, and each book follows a different facet of a romance, and she tends to add in a little bit more plot. A little bit. I'm not there for the plot, like at all. But I don't know, the first one is very Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's fine. I don't reread it anymore because it's just fine. It's nothing special. I've read other Beauty and the Beast retellings I like more. This one though, when I first read it 2 years ago, really resonated with me, and I still love it so much. And it's that whole story of going from an unhealthy but hard loss of a relationship to a more fulfilling relationship. And I mean, that's what I was doing the year I read this book. So it resonated so hard with the loss I felt from a relationship I thought was the one, to then transitioning to one that actually was better in almost every way, and I just didn't notice it. So I don't know, that theming resonates with me. It's also just a fun banter, a fun romance, an easy read, perfect for just like chilling at night during the holidays. It's pretty great. So that's what I've been reading and doing, and it's snowing. It's wonderful. I hope you're having a great day. I'm going to go get breakfast and snuggle up with a cat and read a book. Guess who finally made it out of upstate New York? I've been driving back to Boston today. Upstate New York is so long. It's just so much land, and for like the first 2/3 it's farm and it's very boring, and then it's like cool farms with like hills, so kind of more picturesque. It's just really boring. But I made it to Massachusetts. Only a few hours left. But I came to check in because I chose an audiobook for part of my drive. I switch between audiobooks, podcasts, and music when I drive. I can't stick to one thing and stay awake. But I decided to pick up the audiobook for Each of Us a Desert, which is really cool. Granted, it's kind of my thing. So like I love Dying Earth fantasy things, and like it seems like, from what I can tell, this is a future Earth-like place that has been like, we're in a very desert area that like probably used to be lush. They keep talking about how this god of theirs, a god related to sun, basically put everything on fire because humans were misbehaving. And as a result, now people, unless they basically go to confession with these certain magical people who can take your stories and kind of, I guess, give the stories back to the earth and the god and absolve you, you will have these, it's called, oh, I can't remember the Spanish word for it because that's the word used in the story, but it means nightmares in Spanish, and they'll come to life if you don't tell the truth to these people. And I'm forgetting the name for that too because I'm not reading it. My memory is complete nonsense when I'm not physically reading things. It's why I could never learn well through lectures. I always have to read like textbooks and things to get it in my memory. But we have our main character, who I'm calling Zoe because a lot of people call her Zoe, but I think her name is Xochi. And she is one of these like story takers, so kind of synonymous to like the lead in The Giver or The Deep. I mean, it's really interesting. I really liked it, and it also was giving me thoughts of that story I read earlier this year, Incendiary, where that was like a memory taker power. And so Soki is responsible for all of this. It's a lot. I don't think we know her exact age, but she's definitely a teenager. This is young adult. And one day, instead of giving back the memory, she keeps it because it has implications for like the safety of her village. And then she realizes more and more about, I mean, she was already exhausted from her job, but she was just really realizing how kind of taken advantage of she is. And then because of what happens, she's now going on this journey to kind of figure out herself and figure out more about her power, because there seems like there can be multiple ways. And then there's this girl, Emilia, who is like the daughter of this very, very bad father figure who is kind of our antagonist of the story, who also has the same power as Soki but uses it very corruptly. And there are these guardian figures, and so they're going on this journey in this very destitute place. We're slowly learning about the world through these people's stories as they give them. And what's really interesting, what I'm finding interesting, is Zoki is actually extremely religious and is kind of going against her religion to do these things. And we're following that journey, and it's really interesting to me. Like, and as the story is being told to that god figure, like if you're reading this story, it's in first person, but she keeps referring to this you, and this you is this solstice god person. And every time she takes a story, she's like, let me tell you the story of blah. And that's how we go into a memory. I'm really liking it. It's kind of sometimes a little slow, but I'm also just, the world building and the introspective parts, and just, I don't know, I'm digging it. So hopefully I will keep enjoying it. I've only listened to 36% of it so far, but it's been great. And I guess another quick update on my other read, which is ACOMAF. I'm almost done with it. We'll probably finish it next time I can physically read a book. I only have an hour left, so, and I know what happens in this chunk because this is my third reread. Still love it. I mean, I was rereading it because I wanted the comfy, predictable plot arc of it. I like the romance a lot. Like I said in the last clip, it's just one of my favorite romance arcs because of my emotional experience, and I don't know, I just think she does a pretty okay job balancing banter with like enough plot to keep things going. Although I do think Feyre is like my least favorite Sarah J Maas character like ever. She's not, I like Bryce in Crescent City more, and I guess I probably like whatever the main character is in Throne of Glass. I always forget her name because I haven't read that series in 2 years. But I don't love Feyre, but that's okay because I love everyone else. I love all the chemistry, and I like the banter, and the plot's fine. I mean, it's actually good enough that like I low-key want to read the third book again, but the third book's way too long and I don't really have time. But I might reread it before Nesta's story comes out. There's a fourth book coming out next year, so I might do it then. But that's what I mean. Like, the plot's objectively not amazing, but like I'm hooked enough that I like want to reread it again. So that's where I'm at. So I'm gonna go fill up some gas and then get back on this road and make it back to Boston. Well, it's time to wrap up this vlog. I have had a pretty good reading week, and you've seen all the Christmas decorating I have been doing both in Cleveland and here in Boston, and there's more to do. I'm excited to get a few more things today and decorate a bit more. I'm just a big holiday person. December is my favorite month because it's my birthday month, and I know a lot of you always keep asking me, because you're so generous, if I have a wish list to put in my description, and I don't, mainly because I'm very picky about the books I put in my collection, and I also try not to get overwhelmed. One day the goal is to have a huge library and I can just have all the books, but right now I have 2 bookshelves and I'm trying to stay within those boundaries, and it's hard because there are so many good books out there. But if you do want to help me celebrate my birthday, I'm going to do an assumptions about me video, and I'll have a form in the description. It's just a Google form, and it's just an easy way for me to compile it all. And Ryan's going to join me for that video and read out these assumptions, so you can also make assumptions about him if you're new here. Ryan's my boyfriend. He does take part in some videos. He does his own review videos on occasion, so I'll link that playlist up there if you haven't seen any of his stuff. He's a silly guy. I'm quite happy and lucky to have him in my life. But we're going to do that video. It's going to actually air on my birthday, which will be a Tuesday, so a little weird for my upload schedule. So if you want to help me celebrate my birthday, that's what I would wish. So no need to send me books or anything monetarily. If you do want to do something and thinking of me, you know, donate a book to a place where kids can get their hands on them or something like that. That's what I would want, because I know as a kid stories were a big deal for me. Now, into all the things that I have continued to read for this week. So since you saw me in a car, I did finish ACOMAF, and I have put on hold the 3rd book because I'm gonna reread it before Nesta's book comes out in February. That makes sense. I don't know why this series is so rereadable to me. It's really, besides the 2nd book, which I love, just fine, but it's also addictive fun, so here I go. But I've also gotten to listen to more of Each of Us a Desert, which I'm really liking. And it's weird that I'm really liking it because it's definitely a journey story, which if you're new here, I'm not big on the whole quest journey stories most of the time, but I think why this one works really well for me is this world is so cool. I think I mentioned that in the previous clip, but it's just so interesting to explore this world through Zoe's eyes. I'm having a really great time with that, so I'm hoping to listen to it more today as I do errands and everything like that. And for book club, I've also started On Earth, We're Briefly Gorgeous. This is it's a literary fiction kind of, I don't even want to say stream of consciousness. I've only read half of it so far, but it's basically a Vietnamese American son writing a letter to his illiterate mother. So in theory, she will never read this. But it's kind of one of those cathartic experiments, I feel like. If you go to a therapist and you have issues, you tend to be told to maybe write a letter, maybe air out your grievances. And these aren't just him airing out the issues he's had in his life because of his mother and her trauma, because they moved from Vietnam to the States in, I think, 1990, so they were still dealing with, I mean, she grew up during the Vietnam War, and there's still a lot of tension in that country, so a lot of his family is very scarred in very emotional ways, and that does bleed into his upbringing. So you get to follow that, but you also just get to follow him kind of talking about what happened in his life that he could never share with his mother, kind of like his love life, it seems, right now. So it's been really interesting. I really do like the writing style. It kind of goes between prose and verse in my head. The author is a poet originally, and sometimes I feel like sometimes things are brought up a little randomly, but I kind of also like it because it works like how I think my brain would work, how you're telling one story thread, but then it reminds you of this different thread. So you put it in, and it doesn't quite always feel like those things are connected, but that's kind of how thinking works, at least for me. So I'm largely enjoying it. It's definitely out of my comfort zone, and I am glad it's short because I don't think I could do this for more than the 200 some pages that there are. We'll see. I'm right out now actually in a part that I'm really enjoying. I do think that I'm getting a stronger connection to it now than I was when I first started it, and I've definitely needed to just read it while I'm a little more focused. Not even necessarily awake, I just have to not have too many distractions around. Although I say that, and I actually read a lot of it while watching football last night. The Patriots were on. The Browns had already just won by a landslide, so I was just there enjoying my tree and watching. It was so good. But that's probably something I'll finish this week that I'm really interested in. This is why I like My Loco Book Club. I would have never picked this up. It's not in my wheelhouse whatsoever. I also started a mystery book that I can't talk to you guys about. This is that rare moment where I do have a secret TBR because of the Secret Santa thing I am doing, but there will be a review video up for it on the 21st of December, so you will hear my thoughts on it. I have thoughts. It's killing me, actually. I have so many thoughts about this book so far. It's not a book, again, that I would have picked up. And yeah, it definitely has its lowlights and its highlights. That's what I'll say. Which is stressful because, you know, we tried to pick books that were favorites of people to review. So I don't hate it, but like it's definitely not going to be a favorite for me. So yeah, that is, I think, everything. You're up to date on everything I've been reading, and it's nice to get back into these like more normal weekly vlogs, because I know I didn't really take time off from booktube, but I was primarily reading Rhythm of War and didn't have anything else to vlog about. So yeah, otherwise, you know, let me know how your week's been going. If you have any fun traditional things you like to do this time of year, remember that form's going to be in the description for that Assumptions About Me video that I want to film. As you're seeing this video, I want to film it the weekend after, so you have a few days to get them in before I start filming. And otherwise, like if you like it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.